example, we have a payer company. What we do, we want some claims related application we want to manage. Okay. So what we do, we purchase the Faceit software. Understood, right?
Right, right.
But whenever we purchase the software, the basics of the modules, whatever the modules are there in the application and all remains constant. That never changes.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have to do, according to the business rules, according to our requirements, we have to configure. Am
Modify
I
it.
understood, Nidhi? Right?
Right. So basically, facets, from what my understanding is, facets will provide certain features and, within the application, according to our business requirements, how we want to modify it, customize it, we will do it.
Yes. So for that requirement gathering is what being a BA we are doing.
Right.
So why being a BA we are here in healthcare? Because one of the reason is this. Because let's say, for example, we are using old application we are using for claims application. For example, claims and membership enrollment. Company is using some old application for a very long time. Now, lot of services were added. At the same time, their customer base has added also. So what they
Right.
want to do now, they have to customize or they have to come up with new applications. Am I right? Yes, sir.
Right. For faster, robust process.
Faster, robust services and all everything they require. So what they want now, they want some kind of application which can cater the present as well as the future needs of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays, if you see in the industry, three prominent applications we have. One is about Facets application. Second is a QNext is the second application. The third application is called Health Edge. These are the three applications. These are the three applications we have. Using these three, any one application organization uses.
Facets
These
is
are
most popular one I heard.
Facets is popular comparing to us. But of course, even QNext has its own existence, Health Edge even. But Facets is more popular in the healthcare sector.
Got it.
So it's a product. Healthcare Facets is a product, healthcare administrative product which is already existed. What we have to do now, if you want to use it for your organization, you may not be required all the modules. Am I right?
Right, right.
You may not be required all the modules.
All the modules.
Even though if you want to have the modules and all, yeah. So even though if you don't want all the modules because you want to configure some modules, you want to configure some modules. So what will you be doing now? If you want to configure these modules, what you have to do, you have to make some customization to this. You have to make some customization. So for that customization purpose, generally this XML files is what something we have to do it, because whatever the file formats, either it can be an XML file format or it can be a JSON file format. These are the different file formats which are using for you, because data migration is what we have to do, because from the old legacy systems to the new application, we have to migrate the data. When you're migrating the data, file formats are important. Beginning days, if you see old legacy systems, file formats were very old. Okay.
Right.
Those file formats are not something compatible now. What we have to do now, we have to come up with the new file formats. That's where generally all these XML and all everything were coming into picture. Either it can be XML or it can be JSON. All these things are comes into consideration over here.
Got it.
To you, right? Understood, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, when it comes to the XML application we are using, XML files are we using. XML files we can use for different purposes. For example, you want to configure some modules. Okay, we need to require to have creation of XML file we have to create for module as separate. Or else, for example, if you want to make some configuration and all, right? So maybe configuring whatever the claim related stuff or whatever the healthcare information you want to maintain, right? For example, you want to maintain about the acknowledgement message which you are sending to the customer, or else you want to manage your inventory. Okay, all these things you have to configure, because these are all the activities, whatever you can see. These are all the activities which will be a part of the healthcare services, which uh, people are providing for their people, right? So for their customers, patients, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
what they have to do, if they want to make any kind of configurations and all everything, even for configuration, whatever the required configuration they are doing, so for that they have to create XML files as separate. At the same time, even if they want to create any kind of modules creation and all everything, even for that also we have to create modules and all everything as separate. So this is
Mm.
how generally XML files will be looks like. Do you
Right,
understood
right,
with it? Right?
right, right,
So
right.
whatever I am showing you now is about the module. Module is what generally an XML which I am showing you. Yeah, you can see
Mm-hmm.
this is for the module purpose I am showing you. In this
Mm-hmm.
module purpose, we have to be updated all the information, means whatever the healthcare information, right? So whatever the healthcare information we have in context to the file formats, what we have, followed by the
Mm-hmm.
kind of versions we have, right? So the kind of description, whatever are we going to use. At the
Right.
same, you want to update all the organization details. At the same time, you have to mention about the date, right? So when we are making some changes in the application and all, right? So those dates has to be.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we have to mention about the package module. For example, packaging is a module we are taken. For example,
Mm-hmm.
packaging
Mm-hmm.
is a module we have taken. So we have to update the packaging module from where this information we are gathering is important. From where you are taking this, we are taking from the resource route. From there, we
Mm-hmm.
are taking all that. At the
Mm-hmm.
same time, if there is any kind of system requirements, interoperability, which is enabled, required to be done, to be performed with, even that also we are doing. So these things normally we have to do. So whenever you want to perform, whenever you have to manage the activities, whenever you are creating an XML files, whenever you want to update all the XML files, these are the informations which has to be updated in the application. This is exclusively, again, I'm repeating, the file of XML, what I'm showing you over here. This is an application when we are working on the
Mm.
modules.
Module.
Working on the
Okay.
module. For example, a particular module we are working on. So to update these modules and all everything, this is how generally XML
Okay.
files are required.
Right.
For every functionality, there will be a separate XML file we have to write.
Mm.
Nidhi,
Right, right,
listening.
right.
Because XML file is not confined only for a particular functionality, because sometimes we have to configure, sometimes we have to integrate, sometimes we have to modify the existing module, and we need, for example, user interface changes you want to make. For example,
Mm-hmm.
user interface page is created where you want to configure and you want to update the files and all. For example,
Mm-hmm.
patient form is there. Okay, patient form is there. So
Mm-hmm.
patient form consists of subscribed ID, patient name. Okay, so what is the healthcare healthcare insurance number, right? So everything will be there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
according to your organization, you have added one more field. You want one more field to be added into that. Okay, you want from your organization side. What we
Mm-hmm.
have to do, we have to make some config, we have to make some changes in the existing configuration of the user interface, and you have to make the changes subsequently in the user interface design. Do you
Got
understand
it.
clearly?
Got it. Got it. So as a
Mhm.
BA, we need to know how to read a XML so
Ah,
that we.
yeah, that's where I'm coming. That is where I'm about to explain to you, right? So
Okay.
this is
Okay.
the point. Now, next question you can ask me one thing, Raj, in what way being a BA you are related to XML? Are we going to write any XML files? If not, what else are we going to do? Right? This is your question. Am I right?
Right.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. Now, point to be noted here is that there will be roles called as developer roles. What developers do? Developers will create functionalities for the project. They create a code, they write the code, right? For the project, whatever the project we are working on, they write the code. While they are writing the code, even XML creation, XML files will also be created by them. XML code
Right.
generation, everything will be done by them itself, right? So they only do all that. So if you are a BA, what you have to do, whatever the changes you are expecting your team to do, Whether those information is updating in the XML file format or not is what something you have to know. That's the reason why learning or reading about XML file is one of the key and important element you have to be known with.
Mm.
Do you understood? Because, for example, you have suggested some changes. Okay. As far as configuration, as far as the modules is concerned, you have suggested something. How come you know those changes were mentioned in the XML document? When you will
Mhm.
be knowing, we will be knowing when you know about how the XML file looks like and where it was updated. For example, here you can see this is where something where the module was updated here. At the same time, we are taking up this information from the source root. Let's say, for example, this is not something was not updated because this package module, what are the module are we updating here? So for this, you have to change the system requirements. These are not
Mhm.
functional requirements. Am I right? These are not
Right.
functional
Functional
requirements.
requirements.
System level changes you have to make. So for example, if you don't understand this, what happened? Whatever the changes were mentioned by the team, that you will not be knowing. So once the
Mhm.
work is completed, whenever you are delivering it and whenever you are trying to use it in your organization, if you find difficulty, then again you have to go back and you have to make some necessary changes in the XML application file.
Right.
In order to reduce that complexity, being a BA, what is that you have to do? You need to have a detailed understanding about XML file, and how to read the XML file is one kind of element, right? So being a business analyst working for healthcare and all, this sort of knowledge and this sort of need is something essentially required, so
Mhm.
that it is easy for you to suggest any kind of updations and all everything, so that you can tell them. Okay,
Mhm.
do you understand? Clear?
Yes.
Right? So if there is any changes and all everything, so that we can update, right? So we can update and we can tell them. That's what something, right? So if there is any changes and all everything, we can tell them, right? So this is what something which I'm expecting, but this is what is happening. So please make the changes accordingly. So that suggestion we can provide. When can we give the suggestion? When you know about what is going on and how and what is being updated in the document. If you know, so that you have a chance to explain them well in advance. So if you don't have an idea, then it is difficult for you to address it. Is it clear to you?
Right.
XML files. Here you can see enterprise XML. You can see. Can you see this now?
I can see it.
Right. Right. Yeah, so this is an enterprise XML file. Okay, XML file. This XML file we have to create. We have to create an XML, and this is a JSON file. You can see over here. These are all the
Right.
file formats for JSON. This is for JSON, and whatever required settings you want to make and all. So here we make the changes accordingly for JSON purpose. At the same time, even for example, this is the code, right? So if there is any kind of code to be imparted, right? So any kind of caches, or if you want to make any kind of configurations in the caches and all everything, you can see it. At the same
Right.
time, if you want to create any kind of XMLs and all everything, we can use it. So if you want to work on XML, you have to use either IDEs. Either it can be Visual Studio, or it can be MyEclipse IDE, or else IntelliJ
I
IDEs.
got that. I got that point. So what you're showing me is how in the backend developers build that XML file.
That's what I'm showing you now. Because on front ground, you don't see all that. Normally, when you are working as a BA, you don't see all this. You
I
don't know.
will just see the output. Yeah.
You can see only output. Yes, true, right? Normally, we see only output. We don't see all these. We don't see all
Mhm.
these. But when if you are moving towards the technical side of a BA role. For example, if you are a technical BA, you are moving towards that role and all. So this is what something you have to learn. First of all, you must be knowing about how to create XML file and how to write the XML,
Mm.
how to make the changes in the JSON, right? So if you want to make any configuration changes, etc. For
How
example,
are
for
JSON
configuration,
and XML are they interlinked?
would
No,
not
right?
interlink, two different. Even cascading style
Two
sheets will
different,
also
right?
be.
Okay.
Yes, yes. JSON, some
Right, right,
people
right.
use JSON format, some people use XML format.
Right,
And
right,
there
right.
are
I
tools
mean,
nowadays. What happen is that if you write XML file, use the tool, what we can do, we can convert that XML file format to JSON. code and all everything. For that, you require some IDs. So
I know,
either
I
it
know. I have
can
to
be,
install IDs and I have to
you have
practice
to install, you
myself,
have to
create
have
like
an
a
ID first.
small
ID is
XML,
required.
create like a small
Then
XML
you
and
can import.
yeah,
For
apply.
example, if you want to import any file and all, you can import here. For example, there was some file in the GitHub file. For example, there is some GitHub file you have. For example,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I will show you. For example, uh, you have some XML file, okay, in GitHub repository. For example, if there is some GitHub repository where you have some XML files here, okay,
Mm-hmm.
for example, right? So for example, this is the XML file we have, okay, this is the XML file we have. So what we can do, if you want to have this file, and if there is if this file and all, if you want to copy this file, and if you want to update, and if you want to use it in the existing file formats and all everything, we can do it. So we can access the files and we can use it. So there are different things will be there, right? So if you want to access these files, we can access, or else if you want to create any our own files, if you want to create, we can create our own files. But normally in the real world, especially for healthcare projects and all, data is very larger. XML files are very big. Okay, that much of larger learning is not needed. The basics of learning about XML is sufficient for you. That is enough.
Okay, okay.